Okay, good morning everyone. So I will be discussing your gram-positive bacilli organisms. Okay, so let us begin with your Bacillus species muna. Okay, now for the general characteristics of this bacteria, they are widely distributed. Your Bacillus species, they are widely distributed in the soil and the environment. Okay, now there are at least 100 species belonging to the Bacillus organism. Okay. Now, your Bacillus species, they are aerobic bacteria. Sometimes, yung iba, pwede ring facultative anaerobes yung mga yan. And they are also spore-forming. Alam natin yan. Spore-forming bacteria. Again, pag sinabi nating spore-forming bacteria, ito lang yung mga organisms that has an endospore. Okay, sila lang yung may mga endospore. And this is your Bacillus and your Clostridium. Okay. Now, aside from that, your Bacillus species, they are gram-positive rod-shaped organisms which may occur in chains. Okay. They are arranged in chains gram-positive rod bacteria. Okay. Also, your Bacillus species, they are highly motile. They are highly motile organisms with a peritrichous flagella, except for your Bacillus anthracis and your Bacillus mycoides. Okay? So, ito yung dalawang species natin that are considered non-motile organisms. Okay? Also, for your Bacillus species, they are catalase positive, glucose fermenters, and starch hydrolyzers. Okay? Catalase positive, glucose fermenters, and starch hydrolyzers. Now, because of the presence of their spore, alam natin that they are able to survive in an extreme environment. Actually, pwede silang makapag-grow in a wide range of temperature. Okay, as much as -5 degrees Celsius. They can grow in as much as -5 degrees Celsius to 75 degrees Celsius. Because of this one, okay, they can survive in this kind of temperatures because of the presence of their endospores, of course. Now, morphologically, these Bacillus organisms, when they are being stained with gram stain, they appear to be as large boxcar appearance, gram-positive cells with an unstained area. Okay? Now, kung titingnan mo yan under the microscope, by the way, these unstained areas, okay, this is now a representative of the endospore. Okay, now again, kung titignan mo yan under the microscope, ganito ang itsura nila. They are square-ended rod with a centrally located endospore. Ito, yung area na ito, hindi siya may stain ng gram stain lang. Okay, so, ganyan ang itsura niya, arranged in chains. Kaya, we describe it as boxcar appearance. Okay. Now, the most clinically significant species of Bacillus, we have your Bacillus anthracis, Bacillus cereus, and your Bacillus subtilis. Okay. Now, with regard to this topic, ang mga i-discuss lang natin is your Bacillus anthracis, Bacillus cereus, and your Bacillus subtilis. Okay. Now, the rest of the species of Bacillus, they are only considered as environmental isolates. Okay, so wala masyadong importance. Okay, so unahin lang natin si Bacillus anthracis. Your Bacillus anthracis, also known as your anthrax bacillus, is the causative agent of anthrax. Okay, now, this anthrax bacillus will never be considered as part of the normal flora of the humans. Okay? Now, actually, it is the most likely biologic agent that can be used as a weapon for mass destruction. Okay? So, sa madaling salita, yung Bacillus anthracis natin, ginagamit yan as bioterrorism agent. Okay? Now, in the early 2000, if I am not mistaken, it was year 2001. Okay, ginamit nila ang Bacillus anthracis as a weapon for mass destruction. Okay, now with this organism, they are considered as non-motile and halophilic organisms. Okay, so these organisms, they are non-motile, large, encapsulated. Okay, may capsule yung mga yan. Encapsulated, square-ended rod organisms with a centrally located spore. Okay, centrally located spore, giving them the appearance of bamboo fishing rod appearance. Okay, giving them the appearance of bamboo fishing rod appearance. Now, take note class that this spore, yung spore nila, the spore formation of this bacteria can only takes place, okay, can only takes place anaerobically. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yon. Okay, the formation of the spore can only takes place under anaerobic condition. Also, these bacteria, they can grow aerobically or facultative anaerobe. Okay, they are also halophilic organisms. They can grow in as much as 7% of sodium chloride. Also, these bacteria, they can also grow in a low pH, acidic environment, and they are also considered as lecithinase producers. Lecithinase producers. Now, when it comes to cultural characteristics of Bacillus anthracis, we have this what we call vitamin B1, also known as your thiamine. Thiamine is a primary or is an important growth factor for Bacillus anthracis. Okay, now these organisms can be cultured in blood agar plate, and they are considered as non-hemolytic. Non-hemolytic sa blood agar plate natin. Gamma, hemolytic or non-hemolytic. Now, their colonies or growth in blood agar plate appears to be flat, irregular. Sometimes we describe it as cut glass or ground glass appearance, as we describe it. And it has a swirling projections, giving them the appearance to be resembling like the medusa head, as we call it, medusa head or beaten egg white appearance. Beaten egg white appearance. Also, your Bacillus anthracis, they are very susceptible to penicillin. Okay, they are very susceptible to penicillin. And then, you can actually use this as differential test to differentiate it from Bacillus cereus being resistant to penicillin. Okay, so pwede mong gamitin yung susceptibility test to differentiate it from Bacillus cereus. Now, paano yung procedure natin dyan? This is simply an antimicrobial susceptibility test using your penicillin disc. Okay? Now, after incubating your culture media containing low levels of penicillin, it will cause the bacteria to swell. Okay? Okay? It will cause the bacteria to swell, forming now a chain of cells that resembles a string of pearls. Okay? So, after incubating your culture media, kung Bacillus anthracis nga yan, it has the tendency to form a chain of cells resembling string of pearls as we call it. Now, the main virulence factor of your anthrax bacillus is we have the capsule. Now, this capsule, it contains your D-glutamic acid. Now, capsule, as we all know, ang pinaka-function niyan is to protect the organism from phagocytosis. Also, aside from inhibiting the phagocytosis, the antibodies will not be able to recognize it because of the presence of this protective capsule. Aside from capsule, the main virulence factor of your anthrax bacillus is their exotoxin. This exotoxin, particularly of the edema factor, we have the protective antigen and the lethal factor. Okay, so these are the exotoxins of your anthrax bacillus. Okay, now take note class that this exotoxin, they are considered as non-toxic. Non-toxic individually. Pag sinabi nating non-toxic individually, pag this one, for example, your edema factor, kung siya lang yung na-release na exotoxin, walang masyadong effect yan. Okay? Walang masyadong effect yan sa host natin. But, the moment that they go together, for example, your edema factor and your protective antigen, that is the time they will cause significant effects to the body. Okay? Okay, so ayusin lang natin para mas lalo natin maintindihan. Okay, again, as I said a while ago, that this exotoxin, they are said to be non-toxic individually. But when they go together, that is the time they will cause damaging effects to the body. Okay, so for example, this is your lethal factor. Again, itong tatlong to, these are exotoxins produced by your anthrax bacillus. Okay, now for example, your lethal factor and your protective antigen, pag nagsama yung dalawang yan, it will produce now your what we call lethal toxin. Now, this lethal toxin, ang pinaka-action niyan is to kill the cells or tissues inside the body. But if the protective antigen and the edema factor will combine together, they will produce now your edema toxin. This edema toxin, ang effect niyan sa body, it causes fluid accumulation. Edema nga di ba? It will cause edematous effect to the body. Now, these exotoxins is now responsible for the signs and symptoms of anthrax. Now, let us go over with the clinical infections caused by your anthrax bacillus. Okay? Now, humans can acquire the infection when they are being inoculated with the spores either by inhalation, traumatic introduction, or pwede ring ingestion. Ingestion of the spores, okay? Of the spores. Okay, so this, or rather, the human can acquire this infection by either inhalation of the spores during exposure to contaminated animal products. Okay, kasi actually, your anthrax is a primarily disease of herbivores. Okay, originally, animal pathogen yung mga yan, especially of the goats, sheep, cattle, or horses, and etc. Or rather, it can be acquired through traumatic introduction of the spores through broken skin or mucous membrane. Or pwede rin makuha siya through ingestion. Through ingestion of contaminated food, contaminated with the spores, because sabi nga natin, nanggagaling yan sa mga animal. Okay? Animal products mismo. Okay? Now, take note class that since animal pathogen itong mga ito, person-to-person transmission has not been yet documented. Okay? Okay, so wala pang reports of person-to-person transmission of anthrax bacillus. Okay, now there are actually 3 types of anthrax. Okay? Number 1, we have your cutaneous anthrax. Cutaneous anthrax, your pulmonary anthrax, and your gastrointestinal anthrax. Okay, unahin lang natin yung cutaneous anthrax natin. Cutaneous anthrax can be acquired through skin cuts and abrasion, okay, through open wounds. Now, the manifestations of this anthrax infection, okay, is the presence of small papules, okay, small papules or pimples ang itsura niyan. Okay, and then later on, these small papules will, will start to produce what we call black eschar. After several days, magpo-form yan into black eschar. Yung black eschar na yan, ang itsura niyan, it is a black necrotic central area. Hindi ko kasi makapakita yung picture, pero black eschar yung tawag natin, associated with skin infection of anthrax infection. Okay? Now, although this black eschar, it is said to be considered as painless, okay, painless lesion, and it does not produce pus. Okay? So, non-pyogenic yan. Okay? Non-pyogenic. Okay, it does not produce pus. Okay, sorry. Now, and then this black scar or your cutaneous anthrax, it can actually progress to toxemia and death. Okay? Pwedeng ikamatay ng patient. And then next, we have your pulmonary anthrax. Pulmonary anthrax, also known as your wool sorter's disease. Okay? Also known as your wool sorter's disease. Okay, obviously, it can be acquired when spores are being inhaled. Okay, and then mag-inoculate yan sa parenchyma area of the respiratory tract. And then the manifestations of wool sorter's disease, it resembles your upper respiratory tract infection. Symptoms include mild fever, fatigue, malaise, and dyspnea, the difficulty of breathing. Now, this wool sorter's disease can actually progress to chest edema, cyanosis, coma, and eventually death of the person. And then lastly, we have your GIT anthrax. Your GIT anthrax, obviously, it can be acquired when the spores are being inoculated into a lesion on the intestinal area following ingestion of contaminated food. Ang signs and symptoms of gastrointestinal anthrax includes abdominal pain, nausea, anorexia, vomiting, and bloody diarrhea.